Oh, lovely. Oh, you know what I meant. I'm going to do it in a minute. Gary, could you just put those people back onto full screen for me? Is that possible? I think we can do it. Welcome, everybody, to A1 this evening. We've got some great talent in the room and online, as you can see. Now,
hello.
With... Oh, can anybody hear us online?
Long swim across the Atlantic, but I made it.
Oh. I don't know. We can get back on the main screen. Right, as you can see, we are very adept at this hybrid malarkey. We've been trying different ways of doing our equipment for some time. We do get it most of the time. So hopefully this evening, very big success. Our speakers have one of these lapel mics. 9 times out of 10, they work fantastically. So we're hoping one of those is a 9 times tonight. And we'll make sure that you have one just before you get up to stand at the floor. Now, my sergeant arms bit in the room. So our fire exits are here and here on the left-hand side, just through the door. We're not expecting any alarms this evening, so they will be real if they go off. The gents' toilets for the visitors are directly opposite the door there. And the ladies, you need to go up to the bowling green and turn left and go along on your left-hand side. The gentlemen are gentlemen out there, so I'm hoping that they'll behave themselves when they see you go by. We do have a subsidised bar, which is quite a plus for us at Hamwick, and we hope to have a break halfway through. So for those people online, I'm doing a quick test. Give us a wave. Can you give us some jazz hands just so we can see that you can hear us? Oh gosh, what's happened there? Oh, you spotlighted us. Okay, can you hear me okay?
Perfectly.
Little chicken joke. I used to run a dating agency for chickens, but I had to give it up because I couldn't make hens meet. Did you hear that online? Yeah, it went down like a lead balloon. Didn't it? Fantastic. Right, well, we have our royalty in the room tonight, our area director. So please give a warm welcome to Alex. There he is, there he is, there.
Right, can you hear me, everyone? In the room? Can online hear? Yes, I see a thumbs up. Great, thank you. So this is our first ever area contest, which is hybrid. And obviously, this is all going to be new to us, but things are going well at the moment, which is fantastic. And John, I've got your text, by the way. So we will be starting the event very shortly. But first, I would just like to say that this has obviously been a lot of effort has been put into this. And obviously, Hamwick have got quite a bit of experience, but it's still new. And there's a lot of moving parts and different things going on tonight. I'll obviously maybe close later and just thank everyone later for that. But now I will hand over to, is it the contest chair that I'm handing over to? Who is David Lynch, and that's for the humorous contest. David, are you online anywhere? I can't
What
hear
happened?
you,
What happened to David?
He should be there. He was there.
He was here.
Yes.
I can't see him listed anywhere, Barbara.
Hang on, let's just see if he's locked in a breakout room or something silly.
Oh, it's not name withheld down here,
Someone's
is it?
left him in the breakout room. Oh,
Yes,
dear.
I think the contestants are actually still in the breakout room. So
I've just closed the breakout rooms.
good.
So
Okay, that's fine. I did go and tell them to come out. By the way, Alex.
Yes.
Just to let you know, we have another distinguished visitor online.
Oh, yes, no, that's all right. I did actually, I should have mentioned that in my 3 minutes. I've still got time, I think. Yes, we also have Suhas online, who's the division director. In case you're wondering how far this goes, it goes very far. The whole of England is the district, but he's our division director. Are you there, Suhas, to give us a wave? There you are.
Hey, Alex, I want to wish everybody all the best to the contestants, and I'm here to have fun and listen to some humorous speeches. So all the best contestants, go for it. Have a lovely evening.
Great, thank you very much for joining us. And I have met Suhas at a number of meetings actually, which is what we do as area directors. We go around having meetings, discussing all the different things going on and how we can help. And there's plenty of other contests online. If you want to see some more speakers throughout the area or division, then that will be happening. And the division contest will be on the 6th of November. More details to follow from probably Suhas himself. Have we found our David Lynch yet?
Yes, you have now, Alex. He's online.
Nice to see you online, Matt.
Barbara, it's not allowing me to pin. Is the setting changed on there? Can you just pin David for me?
David is going to be spotlighted, so you can't pin and spotlight at the same
Okay.
time.
Fair enough.
Right. Yeah. Okay, David, we see you. Excellent. So over to start the humorous speaking contest is David Lynch. So David Lynch, over to you.
Thank you very much, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Good evening. I am the contest chair for the humorous speaking contest this evening. Good to be with you. Welcome from me and all the best to the contestants. We have 6 speakers today for your contest. Pleasure. When I introduce our speakers, I'll check that their camera is on, that their microphone is on, and they have visibility of the timer. I'll then introduce each speaker by giving their name and speech title before repeating their speech title and their name, and each speaker will have 5 to 7 minutes to speak. Timing will begin with the speaker's first definite verbal or non-verbal communication with the audience. The speakers will begin speaking within a short time after, and to not delay the contest unnecessarily. Can I ask for the timekeeper to give a visual demo of the color changes as I go through them? The minimum time is 5 minutes, upon which we'll get a green signal.
Can I have Roger doing the time backgrounds, please? Matty, so if you can turn yours off, thank you.
And the green will remain until 6 minutes when we'll get a yellow signal.
I don't know if he's doing.
And that will remain until we get to 7 minutes and a red signal. And that will remain until the conclusion of the speech. There'll be no further indication to the speaker if they go over time. Speakers will be disqualified if their speech lasts for less than 4 minutes 30 or more than 7 minutes 30. None of our speakers have asked for an audible timer warning, so we will just go with the color changes. I'll call for 1 minute of silence after each speaker has gone for the judges to complete their voting. All speeches will be evaluated in exactly the same way against a set of criteria on voting forms by our judging team. And after the final speech, I'll again ask for a minute of silence so that the judges can go to the breakout. I can confirm that our speakers today have been briefed by me. Chief Judge, can you please confirm that our judges and functionaries have been briefed?
Yes, I can, Contest Chair. They've all been briefed.
Thank you, Chief Judge. The speaking order was done earlier and it is as follows. Speaker number 1, Violetta Salagiene. Speaker number 2, Anthony Garvey. Speaker number 3, Matt Roseblade. Speaker number 4, Paul Balaji. Speaker number 5, Mo Ajibola. Speaker number 6, Russell Streeter. Our contest crew have agreed for fairness between in-person and online contestants that I'll leave my camera on throughout the contest. And we welcome the online audience to enable their cameras, but everyone please remain on mute throughout the contest so you don't disrupt our speakers. We're almost ready to start. Zoom Master, Chief Judge, anything else to add? Or are we good to go?
Good to go on my end.
Okay. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, it's time to hear less from me. You'll be pleased to know more from our speakers. And for those of you watching, sit back and enjoy the contest. Can we have speaker number 1? Thank you, Violetta Salagiani. Please ensure your microphone is on and the timer is visible to you. Let me know when you're ready.
Do you hear me okay?
I can hear you and I can see you.
Thank you.
Our first speaker is Violetta Salagiani with a speech entitled The Swedish Horse. Violetta Salagiani.
It has been said that at Toastmasters, there are 3 things you are not allowed to talk about: politics, religion, and sex. Am I going to break that taboo today? No, of course not. Because I don't want to upset the cultural sensitivities at Toastmasters, and because I don't want to get cancelled. I was born in Lithuania when it was part of the Soviet Union. Politics. At university, I was a member of a Christian youth organization. Religion. Our organization connected with friends abroad, and a young man from Sweden invited me to come for a summer holiday. Sex. Mr. Contest Chair, ladies and gentlemen, this speech is about that holiday in Sweden explores another current controversial topic: cultural diversity. I flew to Sweden and was met by my new friend Bjorn. And like the Swedish tennis player Bjorn Borg, my Bjorn was also tall, athletic, and with long blonde hair. And like the tennis player, my Bjorn also wore a headband, white socks, and very tight white shorts. From the airport, we drove 100 kilometers to his home in a small rural village. The first thing that struck me was the silence. Not the silence of a beautiful countryside, but his silence. I was chatty and thrilled, but Bjorn, he spoke only when necessary, just 2 short sentences in 2 hours. He responded to my questions just with 1 word: yes, no, mm-hmm. And in my country, mm-hmm is a sign of internal interrogation, the prelude to a long and insightful answer. I waited excitedly and discovered that this is not mm-hmm what it means in Sweden. Our plan was to have a 2-week road trip around Sweden together. I was so looking forward to it. But every day, nothing changed. 1 sentence in the morning and 1 sentence in the evening. We drove from town to town in silence, seeing different places of interest, fascinating museums and galleries in silence, experiencing a new country, but not being able to communicate about it, drove me to the edge of despair. I felt like a happy birthday balloon with a slow leak. As a protest, I went for a walk alone. I reached fields full of colorful flowers and horses grazing nearby. I sat down and started to talk to myself out loud. I had so much to say. As I spoke, one of the horses approached me, stopped in front of me, started nodding his head and whining. Great, the only one I can have conversation with is a horse. I felt crushed. On return to the car, I shouted at poor Bjorn, "Why can't you be more like a horse?" He said, Oh. When we got to the next city, I went to a travel agency to change my flight ticket to go home early. On my way, I bumped into Angela, an old friend of mine who had come to Sweden to study for a master's degree. I grabbed her by the sleeve so she could not escape, and I talked. I kept talking as if it was an Olympic sport. I ranted about my communication problems with Bjorn. Angela said, "Oh, Violetta, Swedish culture is different than ours. You must adapt to it. You think Swedish men don't speak much? My sister, Betty, married a man from Finland. Betty is lucky to get 2 sentences a week." Then Angela gave me a book written by African-American writer called Audre Lorde. "It's not our differences," she said, "that divide us. It's our inability to recognize, accept, and celebrate those differences." Well, I didn't go home early. Instead, I persuaded Bjorn to go home and to invite his friends and family and have a party. Okay, we had a somewhat silent party, but it taught me a very valuable life lesson. Each country has its own culture and traditions. Learn them, respect them, and know how to adapt. Then you probably won't need to talk to a horse. Says horse back to you, contest chair.
Thank you very much. Can we have silence now, please? And timekeeper, can we have 1 minute for the judges to complete their ballots? Thank you, timekeeper. Okay, that's time. Can I have our second speaker up, please? Anthony Garvey, please ensure your microphone is on and you can see the timer. Let me know when you're ready.
Hello there, contest chair. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you, yes, I can see you.
I can see the timer.
Our second speaker is Anthony Garvey with a speech entitled Dylan, Anthony Garvey.
Helen was smart. She was funny. And I was very much in love. But there were 2 teeny tiny problems. I had never actually spoken to her. The age difference. Helen was 14 and I was 12. Mr. Contest Chair, fellow Toastmasters, and very welcome guests. I went to my dad to ask about my romantic dilemma. You'd like him. He's a Toastmaster, just like us. When other families sat around the dinner table discussing their day, we did table topics. And while other children sought the love and attention of their parents, I just wanted a decent evaluation. My dad scratched his chin thoughtfully as he considered my dilemma. He said, as I see it, you have two options. Firstly, treat the whole exercise like an impromptu speaking challenge. Prepare nothing. Approach the young lady, say what is in your heart, but adapt your presentation depending upon her reaction, her body language, and her general response. And the second option, I said. Well, if you don't fancy that, he said, try this instead. March up to her about 3 feet away, and then close your eyes. Pause. And say what is in your heart, but using your head. The following day, I spotted Helen across the crowded schoolyard and set off towards her. But when I was halfway across, she turned to face me. And all of the clever, witty ideas that had been formulating in my head disappeared. Time for plan B. I was wondering if you'd like to go to the cinema with me. Nothing. Until a voice shattered the silence. I'll go. But I want a large box of popcorn too. I opened my eyes and looked up to see 6'1" Dylan, 15 years of age, the school bully. And I had just asked him to the cinema. Time for my impromptu speaking skills to click into gear. That's great, Dylan, I said. The popcorn is yours. And I'll even throw in a Coke as well. I'm asking Helen to the cinema tonight. And I need the strongest boy in the school to act as our bodyguard, to give us a bit of privacy. See you there at 7:30, I said. And fueled by adrenaline, I turned and left before he could say a word. Found myself halfway across the schoolyard beside Helen, tapped her on the shoulder, asked her out, and she said, yes. Now, those of you hoping for a romantic ending to this story will be sadly disappointed. We quickly discovered at the cinema that we had little in common. And we didn't get to see or hear much of the film either, thanks to a giant bodyguard sitting in front of us, wolfing popcorn and slurping his Coke. Ladies and gentlemen, I love Toastmasters, but table topics for me is the crown jewel in the offering. Not just because it helps me with my romantic entanglements, but because it stood me in good stead during interviews, and it's helped me to pivot during sales pitches when I've discovered that the client is disinterested or thinking of something else. 6 weeks ago, guess who turned up at our Toastmasters meeting? No, not Helen. I told you, this story doesn't have a romantic ending. I'll give you a clue. Dylan. But this time, he was a fully grown man, 6'6". He had come to improve his communication skills. And I challenged him to do an add-on to a table topic. And when he rose to his feet, I closed my eyes and counted and waited for the silence to be shattered. Fellow Toastmasters. Wow. And in that moment, ladies and gentlemen, I was transported back in time. And I felt like a 12-year-old once again in a crowded schoolyard, looking up at my bodyguard, Dylan. Contest chair.
Thank you very much. Can we have silence now, please? And timekeeper, can we have 1 minute while the judges complete their ballots? Thank you, timekeeper. Our minute's up. Matt Roseblade, please ensure your microphone's on and you can see the timer.
I can see the timer. I'm not able to pin the timer. Is that deliberate? Does it mean I have to look at my own face while I'm speaking like a narcissist?
Matt, you can put yourself in gallery view and the timer will appear at the top left corner.
Oh, as if by magic, you're right. Fabulous. Yes, I can see the timer.
Let me know that you're ready.
I'm ready.
I can see you, I can hear you. Our third speaker is Matt Roseblade with a speech entitled Country Life, with a speech entitled Country Life. Matt Roseblade.
Mr. Contest Chair, fellow Toastmasters, most welcome guests. I am a country boy. I grew up in the English countryside in the late 70s, and it was a properly rose-tinted, bucolic rural idyll. I had fields, woods, and streams to explore. I built dens and dams. I climbed trees. I scrumped apples. I could go wild in the country. Perhaps a little too wild when I got my hand on catapults and air guns, but at least said, soonest mended. I had the freedom to get into all sorts of trouble without my parents finding out. It would also be fair to say that if somebody had rocked up with a PS5 and a massive telly, I'd have probably never gone outside again. But today, the children can still enjoy the countryside if they can be prized away from their video games and their TikTok for long enough. They can grow up in the countryside. They can enjoy the experience, almost, because there is one important aspect of a rural childhood that they'll never, ever experience. A significant and wonderful countryside dweller that is sadly now completely extinct. In the 70s, they could be commonly found in hedgerows and woodland on roadside verges. usually just the one individual, but sometimes, rarely, a whole carefully concealed nest. Sometimes fluttering, sometimes still. Always bright and colourful, almost gaudy. Your first glimpse, it will get your heart racing with the excitement to find. Is it? Is it? It is! Always educational and always life-changing. Who can forget that magical first time when they first found an abandoned porn mag? I discussed this recently with a younger friend who refused to believe that in the 1970s, the roadsides and hedgerows of the UK were littered with tatty jazz mags, but they were. And we would find, collect, store and treasure these mags. We'd keep them safe in a barn or a shed somewhere that anyone in the know could access. Because they were owned by nobody, but they were shared by all. They were a community asset, a library of smut, a pornucopia. These mags were genuinely a vital but very little talked about part of a rural childhood because, frankly, those mags, they were our sex education. The school and our parents, they grimly, uneasily and rather reluctantly, very reluctantly, skimmed over the biology of reproduction and managed to make the whole thing sound like a chore, a duty, something strictly for marriage, devoid of passion, love, warmth, little more than a deed of chromosomes, diagrams, and a very, very, very disturbing VHS that was shown on the huge school telly that they wheeled into the room, especially on its big frame. You remember those, the wheelie frames? Doesn't matter. That official sex education was a very effective deterrent, as it was probably no doubt intended to be. So thank goodness for the mags, because they showed us a little of the humanity, the warmth, the joy, the passion of sex. And of course, they showed us a lot more too. Was that a bad thing? Yeah, probably. Was it a good thing? Oh, yes, absolutely, because they taught us things, grown-up things, things that we would never have known. For example, did you know that there is a hierarchy of hetero porn, like a league table of filth? And at the top of the classy mags, the Men Only, the Mayfair, the Park Lane, these are aspirational lifestyle magazines, like Cosmopolitan, but for the porno demographic. And bursting with airbrush, soft-focused pneumatic nudity, these mags, they also contained stories. Some disappointingly weren't about sex at all. They had articles about cars. They were awash with cigarette and aftershave ads, and they guided our dreams of a sophisticated manhood. Our future was mapped out by these mags. We'd be in a Ford Granada, wearing a white suit, nylon of course. We'd be smoking a Rothmans, and a bikini-clad girl would be beside us, leaning in close to smell our Old Spice. The dreams of youth. Reality came crashing in via the lower league mags, Fiesta, and the bottom of the table, thoroughly down market razzle. I mean, these mags they were much less disturbing, and much less discerning, much more disturbing, because they contained these stark lessons in the way of all flesh, readers' wives, and one for the ladies. Now, readers' wives was as it sounds. Gentlemen, why not send in a naked picture of the lady in your life, you romantic devil, you? Send it in for us all to take a look and for know-nothing kids to laugh at, because in our ignorance, we were cruel, because readers' wives filled us with horror. We quite unreasonably expected the women to look like they did in Mayfair. But in readers' wives, the women were real. They proudly showed the scars and stretches of childbirth, age, and diet. And you know what? Don't think they cared. I didn't realize it at the time, but the women of readers' wives, they were beautiful. I mean, maybe it was a kind of internal sort of beauty, but they were still beautiful. They exposed themselves to the world to celebrate their beauty. And yeah, on balance, in reflection, readers' wives, that was a good thing. It's harder to find something positive to say about One for the Ladies. It was the bit of the magazine where the male readers sent in photos of their gifts. I mean, I don't think One for the Ladies was intended as a cautionary tale, but those pictures showed us what lay ahead when age, beer, and gravity had taken its toll. But yeah, perhaps like readers' wives, the One for the Ladies meant they were proud of their assets, even if they did all look rather like a lot like pot-bellied chipolata danglers. Fair play to all these contributors. They let it all hang out and they didn't care. And perhaps that's something that we can learn from them. Their celebration of the body beautiful, their shameless, uninhibited, guilt-free joy. Although, frankly, my takeaway lesson from that is never to take personal photos when you're in a very, very cold room. I learned so much in those magazines. I learned techniques, positions, expertise, chat-up lines, things that in adulthood proved to be incredibly useless when actually put for the test. Oh well, life is for learning. And sadly, the march of technology has all but killed them off. Our countryside is now smut-free. Like the Golden Wonder crisp packets, the detachable ring pull, we will never, ever see dirty magazines littering our hedgerows again. Our poor children, they're never going to experience the joy of finding their first ever stash of smut. Countryside childhoods, they'll never be quite the same. Contest chair, thank you.
Thank you very much. Can we have silence now, please? And timekeeper, can I have 1 minute for the judges to complete their ballots? Thank you, timekeeper. That's time. We move on to our fourth speaker, Paul Balaji. Do we have our fourth speaker to the stage? Please ensure your microphone's on. You can see the timer and let me know when you're ready.
Can you hear me? Okay.
I can hear you. I can see you. Please confirm that you're ready.
Lost and found. My class captain in secondary school called out the names of the lost items. Sandwich, lipstick, belt, knife, up to 20 weird items. Mine wasn't there. And I knew the reason why. It was very difficult to find what I've lost. Because I lost my voice. Mr. Contest Chair and my fellow archaeologists, will you please excavate the ground and find my voice for me? That was how desperate I was 20 years ago as a teenager when I lost my voice. My English teacher had told me to speak in a debate competition. She had assumed also that my success in reading English was as great as my prowess in spoken English. Unfortunately, she wasn't aware about my morbid fear of public speaking. So I braced up for the challenge anyway because I was quite up to it. No, that wasn't the reason. I had no choice because I dare not say no to my English teacher from Nigeria, or else I was going to have some good spanking on my bum. And the D-Day came as I walked to the front of the class. There in front of me was a beautiful and innocent looking girl with a long black hair. She was my crush. Please raise up your right hand if you've ever had a crush before. Wonderful. Raise up your left hand if you've ever messed up in front of a crush. Oh, wonderful. Oh, okay. Overwhelmed with anxiety, I stood still for 15 seconds. I froze like a snowman. Nothing came out of my mouth. I bowed my head in shame, gave up, and walked hurriedly back to my seat. And that night when I came back home, I skipped my dinner, my heart crushed. Also because I felt I've lost the golden chance to impress my crush. It was still in the same state of despair. I woke up the next morning and decided to excavate the old, rusty, and dusty piano that I was never interested in. When you're sad, the things you hate the most becomes the things you crave the most. Despondent and depressed, I struck the black note of the F sharp key. Mary, little lamb. It was that moment I discovered my love for music. Music became the balm to my weary soul. Music was a place I could play with my pain, sing out my sorrow, and listen to my lost voice. Inspired by music, I decided to go to medical school to ask that golden question: why could Paul sing without stuttering? And it was one of the anatomy dissection class when we had a real human brain with extremes of backstories. Some brain from unclaimed criminals, and some of our main professors of anatomy who decided to donate their wealth of knowledge through the brain for us to fathom and admire. And definitely as medical students, we were glad to cut up the brain. It was when we were doing the dissection class that was told that the left part of the brain was responsible for speech and the right part of the brain was responsible for music. And then I remember when I was young, my mom said, I actually had jaundice, which affected my speech. My first word was said at the age of 4 years, and I struggled with stuttering almost all through my life. And I thought, oh, it is that the left part of the brain did not like the color yellow and decided to go on strike and stop working. I mean, thank God for my right brain, the right wing of my life. I continued to sing all my words. Now, fast forward later, many years after when I became a doctor, I remembered on a busy late night shift in a hospital, I walked into the ward. And there in front of me was a beautiful and innocent looking nurse with a long black hair. She was my crush. This time, I took matters into my hands. I took the bull by the horn. I stole her phone number. Don't ask me why, how I did that. She fell in love with me. I married the love of my life. And the highlight of a garden wedding wasn't the speeches, nor was it the food. It was a song, More Than a Dream. Also that I sang to her. I don't want to run away, throw anything in front of me, live 1,000 lives in melody, they've overtaken me. And I never thought, never believed, never could see. The walls were bigger than me. I crushed them down. I crushed them down in front of me. It's more than a dream. Lost and found. The story today is not all about what I've lost. The message today is all about overlooking what I've lost and finding the many things in my life. Music, medicine, the love of my life, and you wonderful archaeologists and Toastmasters, all with your encouraging words and positive words, and your faith in me is finding my voice for me. And this beautiful flower is not a gift for you. It is a bribe. Keep finding my voice for me. Mr. Contest Chair, thank you.
Thank you very much. Silence now, please. Timekeeper, can we have 1 minute while the judges complete their ballots? A minute is up. Thank you, timekeeper. Speaker number 5, Mo Ajibola. Please ensure your microphone's on. The timer is visible.
Yes, the microphone is on and the timer is visible. Can you hear me?
I can see you. I can hear you. Let me know that you're ready. Our
Thank you.
Thank you. Our fifth speaker is Mo Ajibola with a speech entitled Queen of Nigeria, with a speech entitled Queen of Nigeria. Mo Ajibola.
Growing up in late 80s in Nigeria, I believe 3 things about England. Buckingham Palace is lined up with gold. Queen's English. Finally, Trafalgar Square. I have a reason for liking Trafalgar Square. I loved Monopoly, so why not? That was my favorite card within the Monopoly game. I don't have a particular reason for the rest of them. But however, I do know about Queen's English and I was fascinated by it. I wanted to come to England. Luckily, I got to come to England. However, I was a bit disappointed. Come to rainy weather, oh gosh. The moaning, oh gosh. And the non-stop chat about the weather. That was what England was about. I decided to go with the flow. I decided to become British. That's great. However, I returned to Nigeria in 2001, and I was met with my grandfather. How is Elizabeth? Elizabeth? How is Elizabeth? Do you mean Queen Elizabeth? No, Lizzie. How is Lizzie? You've been in England for the past 6 years. How is Lizzie? My grandmother, she looked back at me. My grandfather repeated the same question, this time around, a little bit more assertive. How is Elizabeth, I asked you, Mo? Fine, I don't really interact with the Queen, Granddad. She lives in our own castle in Buckingham Palace. My grandfather is of the age whereby he thought he had a special relationship with Lizzie. That's Queen Elizabeth to you and I, by the way. He met Queen Elizabeth back in the 60s when he was studying at the London School of Economics. And he had this grand ambition to be the first principal headmaster in his village. He wanted to build a school to educate villagers, to teach them how to count money, how to do business. And for some reason unknown to me, Elizabeth was that shining North Star that inspired him to go ahead and make this grand ambition great. My grandmother, on the other hand, was knitting in the corner, and I could see that if my grandfather was to mention Lizzie again, that she was just going to use that knitting pin and dig it into his back. To my grandfather, oh yeah, Queen is fine. I don't really know much about the royal family, but yeah, they're great. But my grandfather didn't like that response. He wanted me to be enthusiastic about the royal family. Yeah, that ambition, but I know where you're going. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow Toastmasters, my family has an obsession with the royal family. That's my grandfather's story. Fast forward back to 2006, in my house, it was a nice summer evening, and I knew that my mom has this bag in the loft, in the attic. I wanted to conquer it. It was out of bounds to everybody. I wanted to conquer it. I wanted to see what is in this bag that no one can see. So while she was out of the house one day, I decided to go up the attic. With my little legs, I started climbing. All of a sudden, I saw a knock at the door. What is my mom going to do to me? This is going to be scary. She said, Mo, don't go there. What are you doing in the loft? What are you looking for? I started I shaking, my voice was shaking. I was cooking up an excuse. Oh, and suddenly I heard, oh gosh, thank God it was the postmaster. It's just dropped a package from my mom. Okay, I can continue with my mission. And so I climbed and I climbed and I got to this lovely suitcase. It wasn't golden like the Buckingham Palace was lined, but I got there and I opened it up, expecting something dramatic. Maybe gold, you know. It was full of tattered pictures. Oh my God, was this why I wasted my time? But it was tattered pictures that was precious to my mother because they had cuttings of her and Prince Charles and Princess Diana and the Queen, and she took a picture with them and she's held that picture like she's held on to her life ever since. So why is my family so fascinated with its royal family? I believe it's because of the shared values that we have. It's because of the shared values that she's given to my grandfather and she's passed that on and he's passed that on to my mother. The shared value of integrity, the shared value of hard work, and the shared value of tradition. And although the Buckingham Palace is not lined with gold, but it is a tradition that reverberates throughout the whole nation, throughout external nations as well. And although the Queen's English is the Queen's English, but she's had to work hard at that. And Trafalgar Square, it's a battle that only Britain could have won. So as I reflect on that, I am glad that the Queen was not just the Queen of Britain, but the Queen of Africa and the Queen of the entire world. Back to you, Constance. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Can we have silence now, please? Timekeeper, can we have 1 minute for the judges to complete their ballots? Thank you, timekeeper. Our sixth speaker is Russell Streeter. Russell, can you hear me okay?
Thank you, David. Yes, I can hear you just fine. How about you? Can you hear me and can you see me?
I can hear you and I can see you. Can you see the timer?
I can. He's right in front of me.
And are you ready to go?
I am ready to go. Thank you.
Our sixth speaker is Russell Streeter with a speech entitled The Passing of Time, with a speech entitled The Passing of Time. Russell Streeter.
Thank you, contest chair, fellow Toastmasters, and most esteemed and handsome judges. My name is Russell, and I'm 42 years old. I know you're shocked. I don't look a day over 41 and a half. But the thing is, I don't feel 42. In my head, I'm still 20. It's 1999, and I'm dancing to Ricky Martin's Living La Vida Loca. She's into superstition. I can party all night long. I can drink as much as I want and not get a hangover. Oh, those were the days. Nowadays, I wake up with a headache if I have food too late at night. It's not that I think that I'm 20 still, that would be crazy. But where has the time gone? You know, 2 decades has passed. Mind you, there are advantages to being 42. I have a bit more money now than I did then. I've got my own house. You know, when I was a teenager, all I wanted to do was move out, get my own place, where I could throw my clothes on the floor and no one would care. I could drink milk straight out of the bottle, put an empty bottle back in the fridge. Of course, I can't do any of those things now because I'm married. That's the other big difference between now and 20 years ago. I live with a lady and she has so much stuff. Honestly, sometimes it's things like every horizontal surface in our bathroom is jam-packed with lotions and potions. There's face cream and hair cream and eye cream and foot cream. There's hardly any space for her things. Mind you, there is one major advantage to living with a lady. Oh, yes, yes, you know what I'm talking about. It's before the watershed, so I'll whisper it. Designated driver. Half the time anyway. We haven't used a cab in years. They should put that on the side of the registry. Get married, save a ton on cab fare. You know, when I was young, all I wanted to do was be old. And that's because no one told young me how hard being a grown-up is. Adulting sucks. You've got responsibilities and bills and mortgage and work every day of the week. And you know the worst thing about being a grown-up? You've got to figure out what to feed yourself every day, 3 times a day, for the rest of your life. I approached this problem with enthusiasm. The first day after I moved out into my own place, I cooked spaghetti with butter and cheese. On the second day, I cooked spaghetti with butter because I forgot the cheese. On the third day, I ran out of clean pans. So I called my mum in a panic. Mum, what do I do? The washing up. I had McDonald's for the rest of the week. Some birthdays pass you by, but 40, you cannot help but notice. The universe needs to tell you that you have turned 40. And do you know who the biggest culprit is? The National Health Service. All of the health services, actually. I was getting leaflets. Heart health when you're over 40. Ads on Facebook. How to exercise when you're over 40. Specsavers sent me a voucher for 20% off varifocals. How many focals does one man need? The GP surgery invited me for an over 40s men's health check recently. 2 years late, but you know. So I said yes, went for the blood test, and then I went and I had a lovely chat with a nurse to go through my results. She said, Mr. Streeter, I have good news. Your results are within the normal range. Excellent. But, there's always a but, maybe you could benefit from making some improvements to your lifestyle. Improvements, I mean, you just said that everything was fine, but okay, I'll hear you out, Tell me. Number 1, eat less red meat. I said, okay, well, you know, the steak is brown when it comes out the pan, so switch from red meat to brown meat, that's okay. I'm on board with this. Secondly, eat more vegetables. So that's a double helping of chips with the steak and some chimichurri sauce, because that's parsley and parsley is a vegetable. I'm good with this, I'm good with this. What else have you got for me? And then she says, can you please cut down on alcohol? You mean like use smaller glasses? No, drink less alcohol. So I went to the store and I bought non-alcoholic beer, or as the Australians call it, Foster's. I didn't want any of my friends and family to know, so I carried this non-alcoholic beer out the store in a brown paper bag, tucked it inside my jacket so no one would see. But do you know what? It's not bad. I'll say it again, fellow Toastmasters. Non-alcoholic beer is not bad. I was using it to make tequila bombs and feeling positively virtuous all night long. 20 years has passed since I was 20, more than 20 years. But you don't realize the passing of time sometimes. And I think it's because we get so focused on our day-to-day lives. You know, it's eat, work, sleep, eat, work, sleep, eat, go sailing, sleep, eat, have children, never sleep again. And then we do it all over again. But sometimes things happen in your life to make you realize that time has passed. Like your vision's getting a bit worse, or your son is nearly an adult, or you've been a Toastmaster for nearly 10 years. And people in the club are starting to refer to you as one of the older members. I think they mean experienced, but older has fewer syllables, you know? Yeah. The thing is that the thing that really makes me realize that time has passed or that I'm getting older is young children. We went to Barbados over the summer We wanted to go somewhere cooler than England, so we went to Barbados. And I did some coaching for young sailors. These guys are, guys and girls, you know, they're under 18, but they're the creme de la creme. But I made the mistake of asking them how old they were. One was 16, one was 14. One boy there was only 12 years old. Can you imagine? I've got t-shirts older than that. Actually, that's not just a saying. Look, I wore it here tonight. Can you see? Cartagena, 2005. That was just a few years ago, right? Surely. So, fellow Toastmasters, what I've learned from turning 40, there's only really one lesson, which is to take some time and, you know, as they say, smell the roses, realize what's going on and enjoy the moment. And if that doesn't work, make sure, get a dishwasher. Mr. Contest Chair.
Thank you very much. Can we have silence now, please? And timekeeper, can we have 1 minute for the judges to complete their ballots? Thank you, timekeeper. That's the end of our humorous speaking contest. All the speakers have gone. Chief Judge, are we taking a moment to move the judges out?
Yes, that's fine. That's fine, Contest Chair.
Okay, so I'll have a minute of silence to move the judges out.
I believe all the judges are out. If not, can they signal to me in the WhatsApp group, please? Judges are in the breakout room.
That's in person as well, I hope. Okay, it's interval and refreshments time. Is there anything else to add at this stage?
Perhaps how long is our interval?
We are running a few minutes over. According to the agenda, we have 10 minutes.
Okay.
Reconvene in 10 minutes.
Barbara, do you want to stop the recording or?
As long as you remember to put it on again, Sam.
Okay, I can.
Yeah, we can, yeah.
Yes, we can,
hear me.
Alex.
Right, thank you. Okay, I've got confirmation that you can hear me, obviously, but we need to make sure that everyone online can hear me. So welcome back to the second half of our evening. I'm going to be your contest chair for the table topics part of the evening, and we shall be getting started very shortly. Now, I have given all the contestants the briefings. They are all qualified to enter. What else have I done? Yeah, it's all pretty much covered. So they're all ready to enter. So I think you all know the rules. You're all happy with everything that I've said. So as far as I'm aware, I think we can start the table topics competition. So I need Barnaby to take everyone who is in person and entering out of the room, except for the first contestant. And the first contestant, if I look at my agenda, and also online, if you could confirm when the all the contestants are in the breakout room, that would be good. Right, so the only one who should be in the room, or online, sorry, is Pat Caseling.
Correct. Everybody else, let me just confirm, is in the breakout room who is online.
Right. Is everyone for table topics out of this room now? Yep, okay, right, so no one else. So, Pat, can you hear me?
I can hear you, contest chair.
Great. I can see you and I can hear you. So, are you ready to begin?
I am ready to hear your topic, contest chair.
Great. So, here we go. Let's just make sure. So, please welcome Pat Caseling to give the table topic. Let's give him a welcome, and then I will begin. So Pat Caseling, your table topic is, if you only had 1 week left on Earth, what would you do? If you only had 1 week left on Earth, what would you do? Pat Caseling.
Thank you, contest chair. A week is a short time and there is not much to do. There's not much time to do much, but I would do a few things. I would let those people I know that I love know that I love them. I would ask them to be fully present in all their interactions with me so that they could hear the love I have for them and that I could hear what they have to say about me. I would want to talk about things that are important to my kids, things that will keep them right for life, the big lessons. And, you know, I would say to them that life is short for all of us, and always be ready. Because if you've lived your life in the way that any day could be your last day, you will always be ready. And I would tell them that I am ready. I'm ready to go whenever my time has come. I'll tell them that I've had a good life. I've done all the things that I want to do. I've said all the things that I want to say. And I've said them to the people that I want to say them to. I have no regrets. So I'm prepared. And the only difference between me knowing it's a week and others knowing is the time difference, that short time difference. We're all going to die. I know I'm going to die. I would say to them that I'm ready. Don't worry for me. Don't fear for me. Don't have regrets for me. Remember the things that I said to you. Remember the example I gave you. Remember that I love you. Always remember that. There's little more important than the knowledge that you're loved. And I would hope I might hear some of that back as well. And with that, I would allow them not to grieve. Contest chair.
Great. Thank you, Pat. And if we could have a minute on the clock for the judges, please. Is that a minute? That's a minute. Okay. On to our second participant for the table topics. Please welcome up Stuart Shaw. Thank you very much, Stuart.
Can you hear me okay? Should I put it lower down? Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Right, what I shall do is after this, I shall just mute the microphone just to make sure I do not have any interruptions. Stuart Shaw, if you only had 1 week left on Earth, what would you do? If you only had 1 week left on Earth, what would you do? Stuart Shaw.
That is a fantastic question, Master Table Topics Master. Yeah, I think that's a really important question, actually. I think it's something we should all ask ourselves on a regular basis, because whatever makes up your perfect week or your perfect day, that essentially is what makes your perfect life, and it's something you should be trying to do on a regular basis. So for my perfect week, obviously I'd be filling it with the things that I'd like to do. There would be no work in this week, obviously. Not that I hate my work, but I think we could all agree that your best time, your most fun time is spent doing things outside of work. So yeah, my week would be made up of a perfect day, I suppose. So my perfect day would be, number one, wake up in the morning refreshed after having a great night's sleep, whatever that feels like. I would then have my beautiful wife make me a fantastic breakfast, a fry up with a lovely cup of coffee. Yeah, just to get the day off to a good start. I would then look to do a hobby that I'd like. So a sport, perhaps. Yeah, I would go and play squash as a sport I've taken up recently, which I very much enjoy. And in fact, I play it with one of my fellow Toastmaster members here. So on that occasion, I would play him at squash and thrash him, obviously, which is something that I've been doing quite a lot of to Jack recently, actually. And then I would cycle back home, because I'd cycle to squash, not important, but I'd cycle through the lovely common, the luscious green of the Southampton Common that we have, we're very lucky to have. And I would head back to a delightful pub where all my friends, family, and you guys are all there, where we could share in banter and delicious food and drink and just have a very good time. Then I would leave the pub, I would go home and spend the rest of the evening with my wife and have another nice meal, because you have to end the day with a nice meal. And I would look back at the fantastic day that I've had and realize that that's what life's about. It's spending it with the people that you love, friends and family, doing the activities that you love. So, Master, table topics. Master, my perfect week would be filled with perfect days, spending it with people that I love, friends that I love, doing the things that I love. Thank you very much. That's all right. Oh yeah. Sorry.
Sorry, a minute on the clock, please. Muted it. Right. Is that a minute online as well, just to confirm? Because you might not have heard me straight away. Yep. Okay. Thank you very much. So our third contestant for the table topics is Douglas Lafferty. Douglas, up you come.
Audience online, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I'm ready.
You're ready. Okay. Douglas Lafferty, if you only had 1 week left on Earth, what would you do? If you only had 1 week left on Earth, what would you do, Douglas Lafferty?
1 week on Earth. Oh my goodness. That's quite a lot of time, isn't it? So I will reflect or borrow in the very long but short time I have on the classic Toastmasters edition of those 3 things that you will do in this week before you die. And the first one, actually to link into Toastmasters, is I will finish and perform the speech, which is just going on and on and on and on and on inside my head. Because for some reason, I want to deliver a speech to Toastmasters about why Station to Station, the brilliant David Bowie album, is both a physical journey, a metaphysical journey, and a spiritual journey. Because that really interests me. The second one, wow, I really love Warhammer, but I have a lot of grey plastic which needs to be painted. So I'd quit my job, I'd get my airbrush out, I'd get the compressor out, I'd get all my paints, and I'd do my damnedest to at least get most of my models painted up to a decent standard. Then I'd put them in the cupboard, because let's be honest, I probably wouldn't have much time to play with them. Now, lastly, I've talked about Toastmasters and I've talked about painting my Warhammer, but actually maybe I need to think about my family. So in the little bit of time I have left, I would probably most definitely thank my parents for putting up with me over these years. Because in the very short amount of time I have left to talk, there is a lot I need to thank them for. But this is table topics, not a humorous speech. So I'll save that for another time. Contest Chair, I hope that I've answered your question. Thank you.
Thank you. Hang on. Use this still. Right, if we could have a minute on the clock for the judges, please. Right, minute is up. Our fourth contestant is Gavin Meikle. Gavin Meikle, up you come.
You need to do a sound check.
Could you please? Yes,
Yeah.
that'd be great.
Can you hear me online?
Yes, we can.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Gavin Meikle, if you only had 1 week left on Earth, what would you do? If you only had 1 week left on Earth, what would you do, Gavin Meikle?
Thank you very much, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters in the room, and of course, all my friends online. This is the sort of question that you dread being given, doesn't it? It's that sort of interview question where somebody says, what could you do? But actually, I'm lucky because this is a very easy question for me to answer. Because if you hadn't already guessed it, I'm even older than Russell. And so I've given quite a bit of thought to what would happen. A neighbor of mine recently just got a diagnosis of that. He got 6 months. I've only got a week. Well, what I would do is I would have fun. Because let's face it, life, whatever stage you're at in life is short. It's gone before you know it. So being able to really make the most of everything you can do, to meet the people you would love to meet, to visit the places you would love to visit, to do the things that we'd love to do. But a week, could I really get on stage with some of my favorite bands and play? Maybe I could do air guitar with them. That would be a possibility. But trying to get those gigs in a week, that's probably pretty close. But I play in a band, so I could just get all my friends together and we could play all the songs that I want to play instead of all the songs that our music teacher wants us to play. So I could do that. I could travel to see the things that I haven't seen. But again, a week, it's not very far. And by the time I get all the necessary jabs and things, so I travel locally. I've just been up to Edinburgh and seen lots of places in Edinburgh, although I'm Scottish, that I haven't seen before or for many years. And it was fantastic. And that reminded me that actually, you know, we can set goals about what we'd like to do in all the most amazing exotic places, but actually doing the things you do wherever you are and seeing the joy and the fun in each of those, that's what I would do in my last week. Mr. Contest Chair.
Great, thank you. And if we can have a minute on the clock for the judges, please. Great, thank you very much. Our fifth table topic competitor is Sarah Watty. Sarah Watty, please come to the front.
Hello.
Hello. You have a mic.
Yep.
Would you like to do a sound test?
Yes. Hello. Can everyone online hear me?
We can hear you. Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Sarah Watty, if you only had 1 week left on Earth, what would you do? If you only had 1 week left on Earth, what would you do, Sarah Watty?
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. That's a really interesting question. If I only had 1 week left on Earth, what would I do? I think I would eat all of my favorite things, just all of them, as many as I could squeeze in those last 7 days. I think I would reflect on my life and think, what are the best meals I've ever had? I remember my 30th birthday going out for a posh meal at quite a fancy restaurant at the top of Harvey Nichols in Edinburgh. And then a few days later, going for another birthday meal at Wetherspoons in Hull. And if I had to choose which of those two to go and eat again, it would definitely be Wetherspoons in Hull. The chicken and rib combo with a drink for only $6.99. Absolutely brilliant. I'd definitely go and eat that meal again. I'd also have marvelous cakes, I think. I'd try and recreate some favorite birthday cakes, like when I was 4 and I got a really big birthday cake with a hot air balloon and an actual Smurf inside it. This was when we lived in the Middle East, so I would travel to the Middle East and try to recreate that cake, get someone to bake it for me. And that would take up a fair bit of time in my last 7 days on Earth, I believe. So I've got the chicken and rib combo, I've got the cake, and then, oh, here's another one. This would probably be something brilliant that I would drink, and it would be a glitter ball cocktail. I really like Strictly Come Dancing, and I used to live in York, and this pub would do you a cocktail in an actual semi-glitter ball. So a massive one that you would get in a dance hall, cut in half and filled with cocktail. And I drank the whole thing on my 30th birthday, probably the same day as the chicken and rib combo in Hull. And I think that would be the perfect way to end my time. Thank you very much.
We can have a minute on the clock, judges, please. And I'll try to stay here and not hide in the corner, which is what I've been doing.
Time.
Thank you very much. Right, is our sixth contestant in the room? Is Nicole Riggott in the room?
Yes, he is.
Can you hear me now?
I can now. You're off mute, Nicole. Yes, I can hear you. Can you
yes.
hear me?
I can. Yes, I was off mute until I came into the room and it muted me. So yeah, here we go.
That's the way it's meant to be with that. So, Nicole Rigger, if you only had 1 week left on Earth, what would you do? If you only had 1 week left on Earth, what would you do, Nicole Rigger?
Thank you, Mr. Competition Chair. If I only had 1 week left on Earth, what would I do? That's exactly the kind of topic that we ought to have round our dinner table in the evening. I should invite you over for a weekend dinner to come up with topics like that. So there are 3 of us typically round the table. There will be my daughter, my wife, and myself. And I'm not saying that we're all predictable, but with a subject like that, I can almost imagine where those discussions would go. So from my daughter's point of view, she would imagine that she would spend all of the rest of the time probably on a road trip with her new boyfriend. My wife, being as tidy as she is, would probably spend the rest of the time clearing up the house and finishing all the admin that we all should have done over the last 20 years or so. And what would I do? I would spend time stopping my daughter going on her road trip with her boyfriend. I'd stop my wife cleaning the house, and I would sit round that dinner table and explore all the things we had done in our life, not the things that we were about to do in the next few moments, but all the things that we'd done, because bear in mind, we've had a lovely life so far. Back to you, Toastmaster.
Great, thank you very much, Nicole. If we could have a minute on the clock for the judges, please, that would be great. Right, the minute is up. Thank you very much. Our 7th contestant is Anthony Garvey.
Hello there. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, if you just say that again, because there's a lot of applause here.
Oh, right. Thank you very much. Hello there. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
You can hear me.
you're a little bit low, so maybe really put some oomph into it, and then I'll hear the topic. Thank you, Alexander.
Bit low, is it? Hang on.
Just a little.
It's my voice. It's not the loudest of voices.
It could be that, or it could be my declining years.
Can you hear me now? No?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes. Okay. Anthony Garvey, if you only had 1 week left on Earth, what would you do? If you only had 1 week left on Earth, what would you do, Anthony Garvey?
Mr. Contest Chair, fellow Toastmasters and very welcome guests. So, I've got 7 days left. On Earth was the question. On Earth. Now that sounds like I'm about to hang out with Elon Musk and maybe get a little trip to the stars. But let's focus back and say that what you really mean is I have 7 days before that disease that has been following me around that I haven't been aware of all my life is finally going to reach out and throttle me for the last time. What am I going to do in those 7 days? Well, I'm very lucky that I have a really, really loving wife and 2 great kids. So I would spend as much time as I can with them. I would get out and see all my friends and spend time with them too. I would make sure that I nip down to the insurance company and fill out the largest policy possible so that my family didn't have to worry about it. Because remember, I know I've 7 days left. The insurance company doesn't know I've 7 days left. So pop down, fill out the biggest insurance policy with plenty of beneficiaries to make sure that everyone that I care about is looked after. And then, ladies and gentlemen, because of the phrasing of the question, I'm half hoping I get a phone call from Elon to say, the spaceship is waiting, we're off to uncharted waters. So in conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, you've given me 7 days to live, which is a terrible sentence, but you phrased it in a way that allows me an out because you've given me 7 days on Earth. I'm shooting for the stars. Contest Chair.
If we could have a minute on the clock, judges. Thank you, Anthony Garvey.
Time.
Great, thank you. Our 8th and final competitor is Serena Mann. Serena Mann, please come up. Would you like to do a sound check?
Yes, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay. Serena Mann, if you only had 1 week left on Earth, what would you do? If you only had 1 week left on Earth, what would you do, Serena Mann?
Contest Chair, in that last week of my life, I hope I would truly express to those near me how much I love them. How often do you regret not expressing them? Raise your hands if you ever regret not telling your loved ones that you really love them. I had this experience in my own life. My dad used to drive me crazy. He used to talk nonstop. I mean, even for a moment, could you just be silent just for a moment? I'd say to him, but he had so much to say. Hour after hour, he could talk and talk and talk. The last 2 years of his life, he lived with me and I cared for him. And this time was the most magical time of my life. It was also the most frustrating because he was talking the whole time and he was complaining about this and that. And I thought, could you give me a break for a minute and not talk so much? And you know, with the complaining, this is tiring. But there came a moment where he couldn't talk. And all I wanted more than anything else in the world was for him to complain. Just one more time, would you do that? But it was too late. Because when someone dies, it's not like the Hollywood movies where they give a speech to you and tell you how much you love them, and you can tell them, and I love you too, goodbye. Somehow I thought it would be like that. So in that last week, I would make sure that I accept people for who they are. Whether they want to talk lots and lots and lots or not at all, it's okay. Whether you want to complain, that's okay too. In that last week of my life, I'd make it so precious. I'd make it meaningful to me and those around me to tell them how much I truly love them. My challenge to you is in your life, think about how you could express your love, your passion to others and how much they mean to you. Contest chair.
Thank you very much, Serena Mann. If we can have a minute on the clock for the judges, please.
Time.
Great, thank you very much. Can we just move all to the judges into the breakout room, please? And if there's any here, if you could leave to the other room, that'd be great. Thank you. Do your toting up. And when all judges are out of the room, if you could confirm that online, that would be great.
Just waiting for 3 judges. Okay, all the judges are in the breakout room.
Okay, and there are no judges here now. Right, all the judges have gone. So that's the end of both of our contests. Now, while the judges total up their scores and that, I think we've got a few interviews. So David, are you there and would you be ready to interview your participants?
I'm here and I'm good to go.
Good to go, are you? Okay, so do you want to do yours first? Have you got any?
Sure, let's go for it.
Okay, so is there any certificates that you might have up there?
Certificates, everyone gets certificates. Well done. Let's bring the speakers back up. Can we please, or at least the first one. I'll go in speaking order with Violetta first, if that's okay.
Go in speaking order, so Violetta.
Violetta, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you very much.
Great. You shared with me that your hobbies and interests include hiking and skiing, which are quite action oriented, and then public speaking. And I'm wondering how that brings a balance.
Yes, it does, because it's all the passion. You get all the topics and inspiration from skiing and hiking, because a lot of different things happen to you. It's never the static one. It's always something there, something happens, and there you go. You have an inspiration, and then you come back from your journey and you write your speech.
Okay, so they're like creative activities for you.
Yes, and relaxing as well.
And you shared that one of the things that inspires you the most is world champions of public speaking. Did you have any particular in mind?
Now, I just usually watch every year a new champion and his speech. And I got inspiration from how they deliver, how innovative ways they deliver it, and how good they are.
Great, cool. I also wanted to ask you about your quote that you shared with me. I thought it was very, very fun. Are you able to recite it?
Yes, of course. Yesterday is history. Tomorrow is a mystery. But today is a gift. That is why it is called present.
Yeah, lovely. Thank you very much. And where's that from? Remind us.
Yeah, it's from a kids movie, The Kung Fu Panda.
Kung Fu Panda. I have watched it. I'll have to watch it again.
Yeah, I watched it. I have watched it 3 times already in half a year. So because I can say that, you know, when you start something doing, and obviously it's like a rocky road, and you have your ups and downs, I mean, in public speaking. So then when you have your low moments, I just switch on and watch Kung Fu Panda, and then I see myself there. So yeah, that is a film full of a lot of very wise thoughts.
There's a top tip for all of us. Thank you, Violetta.
Thank you.
Speaker number 2, Anthony. How are you doing?
Hello, I'm good. How are you? Excellent job, by the way. Really, really good.
Thank you, Anthony. I wondered if I can see on your profile that you shared with me, you're a DTM, Distinguished Toastmaster, which means I'm sure you've been involved in contests, at least maybe running them before.
Yeah, look, I think contests are great. It's not the result that matters. It's taking part. It builds your confidence. Love working with younger people who haven't had any experience in contests before, and encouraging them to take their first tentative steps up to the podium.
Yeah, and I think you said that you had 2 kids, and one of the things you shared with me was that your children inspire you.
Well, I write children's books. That's one of the things I do for a living. Written 7 so far. So if anyone wants a good present for Christmas, he says, shamelessly plugging the Grave Speakers series, the one to get your kids reading again. But they have been fantastic because they're the best critics. And I read them a chapter every night, and they'll shout from the bedroom, "Oh, who's Mary?" And I'll realize, my goodness, I've got the wrong character in there, or they'll shout out changes. So they are tremendous.
And I bet you go full flow with voices and gestures, etc., putting all the toast. I'm curious, what came first for you, Toastmasters or being an author?
Well, I've always written, and I was lucky enough to discover Toastmasters. It was part of our upbringing, but I discovered it later in life. But I've had a pen in my hand really from the moment I was born. We're an artistic family. My sister's a fashion designer. My mother's an artist. My dad's a journalist. It was either going to be pottery or writing for me. And look, I've tried the whole ghost thing and it just doesn't work for me. So I stuck to writing, and I love doing it.
Right, it's in the blood. Thank you, and thank you, Anthony. Speaker number 3, Matt.
Matt is not available. So you have to go to speaker number 4, who is Paul, and he should be in the room.
Speaker 4, Paul. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you clearly.
Wonderful.
Yeah, hi, David.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good.
You shared with me that you enjoy listening to music and you like being in nature, and they're quite creative activities. And then you also like Sky News, bit of balance there for us all to enjoy.
Yeah, you're very correct. You know, as I shared in my speech, music has been a very important aspect of my life. You know, I've used music to help me in terms of anxiety, and also to help me even improve my speech. And I think lately, you know, I've been quite intrigued with the Sky News, you know, everything happening in Britain. But apart from that, I think, you know, listening to presenters actually, you know, speak is also a way for me to learn, you know, how to speak. So it's been a great experience for me, a great fun for me. Yeah.
So you were just talking about music there and how that helps you. Can you share a little more?
Yeah. Music has been very, very powerful for me, you know, and I think for me, you know, when I grew up, I actually, you know, had severe challenges with stuttering. But when I started singing, I think that really, really helped me, and it actually improved my speech. And apart from that, you know, I have been involved in several bands, and I even have a charity organization now called Songs and Nerves, where we actually, a team of health professionals, actually go into the hospitals and ward, and we play songs, I mean, for patients with neurological disability. So music has been, you know, an integral part of my life, and it was a privilege for me to share, you know, with everyone the power of music in me.
Yeah, thank you, Paul. Very inspirational. I also love how much storytelling there is in music.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Paul. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Our 5th speaker was Mo.
Hello.
Hey,
Hi,
how are you?
Not too bad, thank you.
You shared with me earlier that one of your inspirations is your children and one of your hobbies is sleeping. I wonder how they work together.
Yeah, I think it was one of the speakers that said sometimes you have to abandon sleeping once you have your kids. I can't say too much about my kids being inspirational this evening. I think if you listen very quietly, they are in the background fighting around their sleep time, but they do inspire me in the sense that the way that they see things is very pure, and their emotions are quite pure as well, which as an adult I still find quite fascinating. Like, was I ever like this, whereby my intentions were pure and the way my outlook on life was very simplistic? All I wanted to do, or they want to do now, is just get lots of vlogs, and they're being honest in what they say, and that really inspires me to be a better parent, I suppose.
Do you take inspiration from that into your speeches and use them as your test audience?
Oh yeah, definitely. I did give a speech about having to negotiate with little terrorists. So it's about how I just use different approach where either accommodating or if I want to be tougher with them. So they've helped me not so well, definitely with my speeches, but also in terms of my leadership skills. Because up until then, I didn't really think I could lead another human being, talk less of little human beings that don't really understand much.
And how do they rate your speeches? Do they always give you a 10?
I think they'll rather give the speech along with me if they could. So either they're sitting on my lap saying that makes me lose my inspiration altogether. So I try not to bring them into my speeches. But when I am writing the speeches, I have them at the back of my mind in terms of what are they teaching me? How can I bring them in? Because they're quite clever as well. in its way because I've got an older one who is 7-year-old, and he tends to teach the younger one, the 5-year-old, a lot. And I find that quite inspirational because he comes out and say, "Oh, I know all this stuff," but I'm like, "No, actually, you've been taught that." But he doesn't know that. He just thinks he's clever. According to him, he'll say he's clever or it's brilliant. And I'm like, "Oh, but you've got an older brother that is teaching you how to, say your alphabets, your phonics, and read books, and telling you about the way the world works." So quite inspirational.
Thank you, Mo.
Thank you.
Russell, speaker 6. Do we have Russell?
Yes, we do have him in the room.
Hello.
Hi. Hey, Russell. You shared with us, or with me, something on one of your hobbies and interests, which I had to look up on the internet. Supping. I did not know what that was. Apparently it's stand-up paddleboarding.
It is. I'm not sure if supping is a verb. Sup is definitely a noun. And so, I just add ing on the end, but I'm not sure whether it's 2 P's or 1. But yes, it's stand-up paddleboarding. We bought some boards last year and they arrived in the middle of winter. So I've only really been doing it since it got warm. Warm is relative when you're from the Caribbean, but I think I took them out first in April or May. And we've used them lots in the summer. And so the next plan is to buy, I've already actually bought a wing, like a kite, and then you don't have to paddle.
You obviously like being on the water, with sailing being one of your other hobbies.
I do like being on the water, and 17 years of living in this country has got me used to the cold, and I go on the water all through the year as long as there's some sailing. A good reason to get wet and cold.
I really enjoyed the quote that you shared with me by Oscar Wilde. Would you be able to share it with us?
Was that be yourself, everyone else is taken?
Yeah.
I think, obviously I took a lot of the mick out of being over 40, but there are definite benefits of being this age. And one of them is a clarity over who you are and, what you will put up with and what you won't, and what you want and what you don't want. And you care less about what other people think once you get to a certain age. And some people get to that point sooner and some people take longer, depending on your personality. But I've definitely got to the point where, I'm comfortable saying, this is what I want, or this is what I believe. And it doesn't really matter what anyone else thinks. Let's have a debate or a nice conversation. But there's less insecurity than when I was, say, 20, dancing to Ricky Martin, or not.
We're still allowed to dance to Ricky Martin, aren't we? Thank you, Russell.
Thank you.
How are we doing for time, Alex?
Sorry, hang on. How are we doing for time? What is the time? Do you know? I have no idea. I've lost completely track.
8 minutes over from the session.
8 minutes over from the session. Right. Okay.
If I may interject, Matt is is available now. David, if you'd like to interview him.
Okay, thank you. Hey, Matt.
Hello.
Hey. Welcome back.
Thank you. I came back in with my hair ruffled. It looks like I've been doing something that I haven't been doing.
You were in the country enjoying what it has to offer.
No, I'm even older than Russell. I can't do any of that anymore.
I'm curious because my background's in IT, and you shared with me that your occupation's in IT. And how does that work for you with getting in the creative and inspirational flow with public speaking?
It fits in really well. I sell mainframes, which, of course, as you know, are the systems that keep the world going, and without them, we would all be knackered. And it's all about telling a story, articulating how the technology will support, grow, and be very cost effective and sustainable for a business. And it's there is a lot of having to create something, create an articulate argument very quickly in a way that I'm not really doing now.
Well, I know that you like to make people laugh, other than the fact that you've entered this contest. You shared with me that you've tried stand-up comedy. Did that come before Toastmasters?
It did. I've been doing it for about 7 years. It was a midlife crisis activity that didn't involve sports cars, motorbikes, or younger women, all of which would be deeply humiliating for everyone involved. So it's a relatively harmless hobby, and I've met so many delightful people. And stand-up comedians are some of the most damaged but delightfully intelligent people, and it's exposed me to so many things that I would never have encountered in my world of IT. I recommend it to everyone. Everybody should try it at least once.
Yeah.
Everybody in this meeting should try it.
And did I read it right? Stand up for cider? Was that you're a finalist?
In Taunton, the prizes are all cider. I've
drinks
won
for
the
less.
heat and won a lot of cider, and I know I'm in the final, and I will win more cider. If I win the competition, I will win a lot of cider.
Well, cheers to that.
Good.
Thank you, Matt. Alex.
Great, thank you. So would you like me to do I think that's everyone covered, is it?
Yeah.
Okie doke. I'll just make my way back to the room. Well, the other half of the room, because you might not be able to see some of the room there, but it's quite a big room, isn't it? So, do we have Paul Caselin in the room?
You even have Pat Caslin in the room.
Pat Caslin, sorry. It's a long day, Pat. It's a long day. It's a
That's
long
okay.
week, whatever. Thank you. Pat, of course. I don't know how I could forget that name because my great uncle was called Pat. So I've got here, well, you've accomplished a lot, haven't you? Why don't you go through some of your accomplishments?
Oh, well, you lead maybe.
I'll lead you. Okay, so you've got DTM, second place, District 71, the Irish speaking contest. Is that correct?
International, maybe?
International. Oh, okay. There you go. You see, I'm making up things here. Contest chair for District 71 final 2020, TEDx speaker. 150 Toastmaster speeches in 4 years. Wow, that's quite something, isn't it?
Well, 6 parts.
6 parts. Excellent. So you've obviously done all the. Did you do the competent communicator?
No, I joined Toastmasters during the pathways. I joined it after I did the TEDx speak because I didn't think it was good enough.
Right.
Yeah, so to up my speaking, I do more of it and to learn a lot more. And interestingly, speaking in the contest was probably the most I've learned. It was a fantastic experience. I recommend it to anybody because you get great feedback, and even though you do the same speech 25 times, it's well worth doing it because it's you refine and refine and refine. You work on the points that aren't quite as good as you like. So great experience. I highly recommend competing.
Yeah, great, thank you. And your hobby is speaking. Obviously, that's your main hobby you've listed here, which is.
Well, I'm sitting down most of the time. I'm in a wheelchair. So it's this is great because I can be online, I can speak all around the world, and I've spoken with maybe 40 or 50 clubs in Toastmasters in the last 2.5 years. So lockdown has been good to me. I've traveled a huge amount and I haven't moved.
There you go, you see, and you're obviously not polluting the environment too, which is always a good thing with traveling around the.
Well, there you go, yeah.
And what's happening tomorrow, Pat? Maybe you'd like to quickly mention that.
Oh yeah, I'm going to get my own back on you because I'm going to interview you at for our podcast. We have a podcast, Shilling Toastmasters podcast, on myself and Paula Mahoney and
can't help you. Sorry, you told me. But
sorry, guys. Myself and Paul and
Philippa.
Thank you, Roger. Philippa. And record every week. It'll go out tomorrow morning at about 10:30. You'll find it on Anchor, or you'll find it on
Spotify.
Or you'll find it on Spotify. Shilling Toastmasters podcast. So we interview somebody. We talk about big ideas this week, and we talk about we have a soapbox, and I enjoy the soapbox. So there's some good stuff coming up. We've done about 20 episodes. So Anthony.
So anyway, yeah. So yeah. I'm going to be quizzed tomorrow, as if I haven't done enough this week.
Alex is our guest tomorrow.
Yes,
so.
I'm going to be on a podcast with you. Something I have never done. I really don't know. I know the word, but I don't know how it works. So that should be interesting. And if you want to hear me, then I'm sure we can get the link and that to you on the podcast. Great. Thank you, Pat, for that.
Thank you, Alex.
Thank you. Right. Who do we have next? Stuart, of course. Ah, Stuart, yes, in the room. Here comes Stuart. Right.
Got some rowdy people at the table, by the way, that want to go home. So if you want me to sit down and shut up, I can.
Oh, okay, right. You want me to carry on and I'll just make you here wait and wait. Right, okay, I'll keep it quick. So what have we got on here? Third place in Hamwick Speakers, Rear of the Year.
That's right, yeah.
Rear of the Year 2017 and runner-up in 2019. So what's that competition about then? What it says on the tin?
I don't want to go into sort of smutty detail like some of our companions here, but yeah, it was a competition that run to to see who had the Rear of the Year. I think George actually won it both times, which is why I just thought I'm not going to bother again, because I should have won it.
You picked a post. All right, fair enough. I've no idea that happened here, but that's an interesting contest to happen.
Well, what I might say is don't ever let the truth get in the way of a good story. So it might not have happened.
To be honest, I wouldn't win it because I've hardly got any rear. So nothing really there. What inspires you the most? Human progress.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, it's a bit of a catch-all, isn't it? I think if I look at anything that has inspired me, you sort of look at your Elon Musk getting rockets that can go up and then land back down. That's incredibly impressive. Just people being able to work together and solve problems and solve the world's biggest problems. It's just that's the most impressive thing that I can think of.
Great. And got a few hobbies here: chess, squash, and coffee. What one would you like to talk about? Just one.
I should probably talk about squash actually, because that's something I've got back into, which I love. And well, as I said just then, don't let the truth get in the way of a good story. I've got to apologise to Jack because he does actually beat me at squash a lot more, and I use that in the story. I think it's good to have a variety of things, isn't it? Good variety of activities and hobbies, and variety is the spice of life. So that's what I've taken on so far.
Okay, thank you very much.
Lovely, thank you.
I've only played squash once in my life. It's very tiring game, isn't it? I think, and my friend beat me, obviously. But I did manage to get a few points in. Right, I've got on my list, it's Gavin next.
Douglas.
That's correct, isn't it?
Douglas.
Sorry? Oh, no, sorry, Douglas. I'm trying to... Oh, your form's here in person, isn't it? Right. Where's your form? It was given to me. Otherwise, I'm going to start making stuff up for you. Wouldn't be good. You'd probably prefer that, would you? Oh, well, you might have to have that in a moment. Okay, yes, let's ad-lib this because I'm a Toastmaster. I can do that. So how long have you been at Toastmasters then?
I joined back in June this year. And yeah, turning up to my first meeting at Solent Speakers was mind-blowing because the whole timekeeper, evaluator, actual agendas that people stick to was just mind-blowing. So I just thought there's just so much to learn.
Yeah, good. So you've only been here a few times and you're already getting stuck in. How many speeches you've done? 3, is it?
3 speeches, yeah.
Yeah, which is good. So excellent. And what are your interests outside? I think you mentioned a few earlier, but yeah, I think you mentioned Warhammer. Perhaps you could tell people what that is more. I know actually, because I do Warhammer myself.
I'll be cheeky and I'll skip over Warhammer. Well, I'll cover it very briefly. Just
Yeah,
say
yeah, cover it a little bit. Yeah, go
sorry,
on.
you're painting fantasy models. So in my case, I collect orcs, so big, not so scary, sort of comical green men with guns, which are somehow powered by psychic energy. It's just completely ridiculous. So I've spent, yeah, what was it? November, I spent many an evening just painting these little green men, but in total I painted like 100 of these models, and they last about 10 seconds on the table.
Yes, they do. Funny enough, I actually collect orcs as well. So there you go. I've got a fairly big army. As you said, sometimes it's not always easy because there's these big people in armor who just come along and go, oh, off you go. But I do like the orcs because they're different. Boring. I find the people in armor a bit boring. Sorry, I've kind of, what you call it, taken that time. Yeah, what other interests then do you have?
Other interests? Running. I'm slowly getting back into it. I've taken a bit of a break, but I've relearned the love of it again. I've also I've discovered the 6-string bass, which is a guitar tuned an octave below, and it's an instrument that I wish I had when I was younger, because it's just so much fun to play, because you can do all the Robert Smith guitar lines from The Cure and play New Order, and it actually sounds right. So yeah, music, Warhammer.
Right. Excellent. Great. Thank you very much. Right. Now it should be Gavin. Come on, Gavin. Up you come.
Alex, just to make note that the Chief Judge is back in the room, so if we could maybe ask the remaining contestants one question each, so that we can get to the results. Thank you.
That's fine. Thank you very much for updating me, Sam. So, Gavin, your interests. Tell me more about your repairing things that you've got into.
Yeah, I spent most of my life doing kind of head stuff, teaching and training people around sales and communication and leadership and all those kind of things. And it suddenly struck me as I kind of approached retirement that I've got nothing to show for that. I mean, there's people I know from time to time, but they've all spread to the far winds parts of the planet. And so I can't point at something and say, well, I made that or I fixed that. And I remember that I used to love fixing things and making things. And so now I have a workshop space with a friend and we fix stuff. So it's kind of like the repair shop, but we do all sorts of woodwork and fix statues. And I've kind of got into clocks as well. Self-taught and online. YouTube is amazing what you can do. So that's what I just love, to repair anything and everything. I'll have a go at it.
Thank you. And if you want anything repaired, then go to Gavin. I'm sure he'd like a challenge, wouldn't you, Gavin? There you go, absolutely. Right. Sarah next? That's correct, right. Will you please come up? I've got your form here. Right, interest hobbies. Okay. Celebrity biographies.
Yes.
That's an interesting one.
Yes, I love celebrity autobiographies. I'm interested in people. I'm a psychologist and I like people's life stories. And I've read all kinds of celebrity autobiographies over the years. And the one I've most recently finished is by Screech from Saved by the Bell. If any of you remember Saved by the Bell, it's my absolute favorite program in the 90s. And Screech wrote a book, but he comes across as not very nice at all. So don't read that one.
Great, thank you. Yeah. Right, should be Anthony next.
No, it's
sorry, Nicole. Right, I should have your form here. Should be the last one, hopefully. Oh, maybe I haven't. I'll tell you what, I can ad-lib that anyway. Why don't you talk about your what you're getting back into, your fitness?
Yeah, I had I had a plan 3 years ago when I retired, which was to get fit to start with, and then that would probably see me through a slightly healthier retirement. And I was struggling with that. Got a coach about 6 months ago, and that was all going very well. And then I had a few setbacks. I was diagnosed with osteopenia, which means I've got weak bones. I crashed my bike. I thought I'd broken my foot. And before I went to the clinic to find out whether I had broken my foot, I did a COVID test, found out I had COVID, and spent 3 weeks doing absolutely nothing at all, which also meant that I missed my flying test, which would have got me to be a solo pilot by now. And now I'm trying to get back on track.
Right. Well, you've been through a lot, but glad to hear you're getting back on track with that, and hopefully you'll be flying solo soon.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Right. Anthony. Yeah. One more. Serena. Yeah, and then it's Serena. Anthony, are you in the room? Ah, you are.
I am. Hello, well done again. Excellent contest, well marshaled. I know you put a lot of hard work into it. Congratulations.
Great, thank you. So you, you mentioned about your, yeah, sort of with the children earlier, being involved in the children, sort of progressing that. Maybe you could actually talk more about where you're based, as in your Irish roots, perhaps.
Sure thing. I'm lucky. I'm from Shilling Speakers. I'm the president of Shilling. It's a purely online club. We have members from 13 different countries, and I live in Tralee, which is a beautiful little hamlet in the best county in Ireland, the Kingdom of Kerry. And although I'm a dub, I married a Kerry girl, and I tell you, I have rolling hills outside of my window, which I can pop down to, some of the best beaches in the world. Yes, the weather might be a little bit iffy, but it's a tremendous place to bring up your kids.
Great, thank you. It's the same here, Anthony, to be honest, in England, so nothing changes. Right. Now, it should be Serena next, is that correct? Yes, Serena, we're done. Right, interests. Time by the sea? Is that what it says?
Yep.
Yeah. So why don't you talk about your time by the sea?
Time by the sea. So I don't actually like being in the sea,
right,
but I like to have a look at it. And I think one of the things, so I love living in Southampton. I used to live here many years ago, but then I went to the Midlands where there was no sea, and coming back a year ago really made me appreciate it. And I just love sort of walking along, and it puts everything into perspective. I think it has a real relaxing psychological effect, is where you can just see the sea, whatever, go for a walk with a friend, or just be alone with your thoughts. And it can really open up your mind to feel maybe less overwhelmed or less stressed. So I think time by the sea is lovely, which is obviously we're in the great location for it.
Yeah, great, excellent, thank you. I've done a bit of swimming before in the sea. I'd recommend giving it a go. You know, it's not too bad, although make sure it's clean. I think that's can be a bit iffy where you sort of swim. I didn't have any problems. Right, are we ready to go to our chief judge? Is that the person who will be announcing the results, or is it each contest chair?
I've got the results for you, Alex. I can't share certificates here, so I thought perhaps it's better if the contest chair announces them, but I can announce them if you wish, and then the contest chair share the certificates. Entirely up to you.
Okay, yeah, if David's able to do that, are you able to share the certificates?
I have them if I can share my screen, for sure.
Right, okay.
I might need to remove the spotlights then.
Are we doing the participation certificates, or just the first, second, third, second, first? Yeah, just do that. So should we have a drum roll for the third place? Are we having a drum roll yet? Hang on. Yeah.
So this is, are we doing table topics first, Alex?
Oh, you're doing the table topics first? Okay,
That's
right.
that's normally what happens in a contest like this. We can do it the other way
Is
around
it?
if you want.
Well, no, just do just do the table topics. That's fine. So
Okay.
third place. So
Oh, but I don't think David knows the results. Has he got the?
I don't have the table topic certificates or results.
Okay, well, look, we can always send the certificates out later, can't we? We
yes,
don't have to.
I can happily deliver or send.
That's
or
great.
whatever.
Okay,
That's not a problem.
Okay.
So
Okay,
place.
I'll announce table topics results then. So here we go. So in third place for the table topics contest is Gavin Michael. Well done, Gavin. In second place for the table topics contest, Anthony Garvey. Well done, Anthony. And in first place for the Area A1 table topics contest, Serena Mann. Well done, Serena.
Well done. Are we able? No, actually, I'll let you do the results and then I'll.
And then I think that but David does have the certificates for the other one. So in third place then.
Can you see the screen?
Yes.
Yes.
We see the agenda though.
Yeah, we see
Only
the
the
agenda.
Yes, that's deliberate.
That's
I'm ready.
great.
I'm ready.
Yes.
I'm ready to share the third place.
That's great. That's great. So in third place for the humorous speech contest, drum roll please, Paul Balaji. Well done, Paul. In second place for the humorous speech contest, Anthony Garvey. Well done, Anthony. And finally, first place for the humorous speech contest, drum roll please, Russell Streeter. Well done, Russell. Great stuff. That concludes the announcement of the results. Back to you, Mr. Contest Chair.
Great, thank you very much for that, John. And we'd just like to get a few photos, if that's possible. I'm sure we can get the online participants on there. And if someone with a good camera and who can, or any camera would be great, can send me the photos. Well, I don't know. I mean, I've only got Google free A. Have you got one better than that, maybe, or is that all right? As long as one of you can, use this phone, or it's not too bad, but right. Yeah. Are you able to get Anthony, the other winner, behind? That'd be good if we, yeah. So can we have the third place, the other person who's not in the room behind, so we can, how am I getting a photo taken here? Yes. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Just get the photo of that. Yeah, all right, that's fine. So yeah, up you come, the winners of both the humorous and the table topics. Yeah. You want to go the other side of me? Is that best? I don't know. Right. I'll tell you what, we'll do one more. So if you two go there, I'll go on just the side and saying, these are winners. Do I need to? Oh, I'm really not used to this camera. Yeah, great. Thank you very much. Well, thank you very much to everyone who's taken part. We've got people in South Africa, so I'm just going to go through as many as I can think. So South Africa is Sam Richmond, who's been our Zoom master for the evening. So please give it up to Sam. Thank you very much. And we've also got Barbara, who is our backup Zoom master and has gone into a lot of organisation with this contest along with Sam. So Barbara. And we have David Lynch, our contest chair and area director. And we have our chief judge, John Akers. And then we have all our judges in the room online. Thank you very much. And then we have our sergeant at arms, our counters and timers. That should be it, right? Thank you very much. And thank you very much, everyone online and in the room for joining me. The division contest will be on the November the 6th, and more details of where that will be announced in due course. And I hope you all have a great evening. Thank you for joining us, and I will see you on the 6th, and come along and support our contestants and see some more fantastic speeches from around the division. Thank you very much. I now declare this meeting closed in case anyone wasn't aware. Thank you. All right.
Great stuff.
Thanks, Alex. That's all right.
Thank you, everybody online.
All right.
Thank you, everyone. And thanks to David and Anthony, that gave me the courage to go ahead, as well as Violetta. Thanks for that.
You were great, Mo. You were great.
Yeah, well done, Mo. Well done for doing it.
Thank you. Cheers. Thank you. Good night.
Well done, Mo. Good night.
Well done. Amazing contest. Well done, everybody.
Thanks, Andy.
Thank you, Andy.
Barbara, I'm going to head off. Tomorrow is another journey.
Yeah, I'll see you tomorrow evening.
Yes, see you tomorrow evening. Goodness, I can't, yeah. Let's, it went well. Congratulations.
Yes, it did. It couldn't
went
be
well.
it did. I think we pulled it off somehow.
We did indeed.
With a
Oh,
few
yes.
minor little technicalities, but that's fine.
Don't forget to stop the recording, or I can but
I'll do that now. Stop that.
Go, Sam.